zusammen sein dürfen, dein Wort zu hören.
Thank you that we can gather together to hear your word.
Ich bete darum, dass du unsere Herzen himmelwärts ziehst.
Please, I ask that you would draw our hearts heavenward.
Lieber Heiland, du verlangst, dass wir Glauben haben, bevor wir in dieses Land Kanaan eintreten. Ich bete darum, dass du uns auch diesen Glauben gibst.
Lord, you request from us that we have faith before we enter into Canaan, and I ask that you give us this faith.
Und danke dir, dass wir heute lernen dürfen von diesem Wort in Jesu Namen. Amen.
And thank you that we can learn from your word this day. In Jesus' name.
This morning we will take a look again at these four cherubims. What is it?
Und heute Morgen werden wir wieder diese vier Cherubim ein bisschen anschauen.
And also plan to look at least a little bit at the churches and the trumpets.
Und wir werden bezogen ein bisschen auf die Kirchen und die Posaunen schauen.
But I don't know if we will cover this already this morning or this evening.
Aber ich weiß es nicht, ob wir heute Morgen schon dahin kommen oder heute Abend.
Alright, so when we have this illustration, what is it also?
Also wenn wir diese Darstellung hier haben, was ist das auch?
Sunday Law, Midnight Cry,
Also das Sonntagsgesetz, der Mitternachtsruf
Final Review.
und der finale Untersuchung.
I'm gonna put this in the middle. What is it?
Das hier in der Mittelstelle, was ist das?
Yes, it's the last week of Christ.
Das ist
Yes.
letzte Woche Christus.
So you had 3.5 year, 3.5 year.
So hier hat man 3,5 Jahre und 3,5 Jahre.
And let's go quickly to Hebrews chapter 10.
Und lass uns in unsere Bibel zu Hebräer Kapitel 10 gehen.
Oh, okay, before we go there, let's go to Daniel chapter 9.
Aber noch bevor wir dahin gehen, lass uns zu Daniel 9 gehen.
Daniel 9, verse 27.
Daniel 9, Vers 27.
You just read the first half of the verse.
Und der erste Hälfte des Verses.
It says, "And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease." Okay, so what did cease here?
So, was ist hier aufgehört?
The Old Testament system, so sacrifices.
Yes, exactly.
Also
Right?
das alttestamentliche System der Opfergaben.
So here you had the Old Testament,
Also hier hat man das Alte Testament.
and here you have the New Testament,
Und
right?
hier nach hatten wir den Neuen Testament.
And when we go now to Hebrews chapter 10,
Wenn wir jetzt zu Hebräer 10 gehen,
it's the same thought that Paul mentions here.
das ist derselbe Gedanke, die Paulus hier auffasst.
And let's read verse 5 to verse 9.
Lass uns die Verse 5 bis Vers 9 lesen.
And verse 9 will be the verse I want to highlight.
Vers 9 ist das, worauf ich beziehen will.
And it speaks about how Christ now came into the world. Okay?
Spricht darüber, wie Christus in die Welt hineingekommen
So
ist.
Hebrews 10 verses 5 to 9 and Brother Mark, you wanna
Hebräer
read
10,
this?
die Verse 5 bis 9.
Wherefore he cometh into the world, he saith, Sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. And burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin thou hast had no pleasure. Then said I, Lo, I come, in the volume of the book it is written of me, to do thy will, O God. Above, when he said, Sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O God. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second.
Okay, so it says here in the Old Testament what was offered?
So, es sagt hier in der Alten Testament, was würde geopfert?
According to this verse.
Gemäß diesem
Sacrifices,
Vers,
right?
also Opfergaben.
But then but it says burnt offerings and sacrifices thou wouldest not.
Dann sagt es, dass Brandopfer und Opfergaben du wolltest.
And then in verse 9 says, Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O God. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second.
Vers 9.
So what is the first and what is the second?
Was ist das erste und was ist das zweite?
Old Testament is the first, right?
Das Alte Testament ist das erste.
First covenant, second covenant.
Yes, first covenant and then the second covenant,
Das
right?
erste Bund und das zweite Bund.
So at the cross, he took away the first and he established the second,
Am
right?
Kreuz hat er das erste weggenommen und das zweite aufgestellt.
So, and you had 3.5
Wie gesagt, hat es 3,5 Jahre
and you had 3.5 here, right?
und 3,5 auch hier.
In the last week of Christ.
Der letzte Woche Christi.
So in total, how many years is it?
So insgesamt wie viele Jahre?
7, right?
7 Jahre.
So, just write 7 up here. Okay. So how many things does Satan counterfeit?
So wie viele Sachen versucht
Everything.
Satan zu fälschen?
Okay.
Alles.
And this was about the covenant, right?
Da hier handelt es sich über das Bund.
Because it said he will confirm the covenant for 1 week. We just read it. Right?
Denn er wird den Bund bestätigen für eine Woche.
Okay. So, and what is the opposite of confirming the covenant?
Und was ist das Gegenteil von das Bundnis bestätigen?
Yes, to break the covenant, right?
Dass du das Bundnis brichst.
And according to the Bible, what happens when you break God's covenant? What comes upon you?
Gemäß der Bibel, was geschieht, wenn du das Bundnis brichst?
Yes,
Was
the
kommt auf dich?
The curse. And what is the curse in the Bible?
Das Fluch. Und was ist das Fluch in der Bibel?
The
25:20.
25, 20.
So, and when you look at the first 25:20, which started in 723 BC,
Und wenn wir die erste 2520, der im 723 vor Christus anfängt,
so how many times are the 25:20?
also wie oft gibt es der 2520?
7 times, right?
7 Male. 7
Okay.
Zeiten.
7 Zeiten, yes. So it's 7 times, okay?
7 Zeiten.
So you misunderstood it. There are two 25:20s, but I wanted to ask how many times are in 25:20?
Also es gibt zwei 2520er, aber ich wollte fragen, wie viele Zeiten es gibt innerhalb von einer 2520.
Und-
Das waren 7 Zeiten.
And when you divide this 7 times,
Und wenn du diese 7 Zeiten verteilst oder teilst,
you have 3.5 here
hier gibt 3,5 hier
and 3.5 here,
und
right?
3,5 auch hier.
Right. So, which is 1260 and 1260.
Was
right?
ist 1260 und 1260?
So, therefore, when you go 1260 into the future, where does it bring you to?
Also wenn du von hier 1260 in die Zukunft gehst, wohin bringt das dich?
538.
538.
80, right?
Also nach Christus.
So, and who began to rule here?
Und wer fängt an hier zu regieren?
False Christ.
Yes, the false Christ, the papacy,
Der
right?
falsche Christus, der Papst.
So, you have papacy here,
Hier hat man den Papsttum
ruled until 1798.
und der regierte bis 1798.
And what power was here
Und
for 1260?
welche Macht war hier?
The daily.
The daily, right?
Das tägliche.
So-
heidnische Rum.
Which was paganism.
Das war Heidentum.
So, and what did Christ do in the midst of the week?
Und was hat Christus getan in der Mitte dieser Woche?
The daily sacrifice.
Amen. Okay.
Er hat das tägliche Opfergabe gestoppt.
He took away the first.
Er nahm das erste weg.
Yeah, he took away the first in order to establish the second,
Er
right?
nahm das erste weg, sodass er der zweite etablieren konnte.
And in the Old Testament, they sacrificed these daily sacrifices.
Und in dem Alten Testament, die haben diesen tägliche Opfergabe geopfert.
And Satan counterfeits everything. So what was the counterfeit of these daily sacrifices?
Satan, der fälscht alles. Also was war der Fälschung von diesen täglichen Opfergaben?
Pagan sacrifices, right?
Heidnische Opfergaben.
So they also sacrificed animals, but they also sacrificed humans.
Also die haben auch Tiere geopfert, aber auch Menschen opfert.
So therefore, paganism was the counterfeit of the Old Testament worship. Okay.
Dementsprechend Heidentum war der Fälschung von alttestamentlicher Anbetung.
So this was Satan's first.
So das war Satan sein erster.
And in the midst of his week, right?
Und
7 times, okay?
In der Mitte von seiner Woche, diese 7 Zeiten,
He takes away his first to establish his second.
er nimmt seine erste weg, um seine zweite zu etablieren.
Okay, everybody can follow?
Kann jeder das folgen?
Okay, so you can clearly see the daily is the counterfeit to the Old Testament,
Es ist klar zu sehen, dass das tägliche ist der Fälschung des Alttestaments.
and the papacy is the counterfeit to the New Testament.
Der Papsttum ist der Fälschung zum Neuen Testament.
Okay, but this is also the Sunday law to the final review, right?
Das ist auch Sonntagsgesetz bis zur finale Untersuchung.
And what do we have shortly before the midnight cry?
Und was haben wir kurz vor der Mitternachtsrufe?
The midst of the week.
We have the little time of peace,
Ja,
right?
diese kleine Zeit des Friedens.
Maybe you're not getting what I'm saying.
No. Maybe you want to explain.
Midway between,
Yeah, but then you should stick it here, right?
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, the midst of the week. Midway between April 19th and October 22nd was midnight.
Yeah, but then you would say in the middle of the week he ceased sacrifice and oblation to cease.
Okay, the daily was taken away in 508.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get to this now. So you have a little time of peace, okay?
Also es gibt eine kleine Zeit des Friedens.
So and this is this side of this 1260, right?
Und der kleine Zeit des Friedens ist diesseits diese 1260.
Because the 1260 goes until the midnight cry.
Denn diese
Right.
1260, die dauert bis zur Mitternachtsrufe an.
So was there also a little time before the end of this 1260 that something happened that brought in a sense, a little time of peace?
Also gab es irgendetwas diesseits diese 1260, was geschah hier, was in gewissem Maßen eine Art kleine Zeit des Friedens hineingebracht hatte.
508.
Yes, 508, right?
508.
Because what happened in 508?
Was ist in 508 geschehen?
Yes, the daily was taken away.
Das tägliche wurde weggenommen.
So this persecuting power was taken away, right?
Diese verfolgende Macht würde hier weggenommen.
But the second persecuting power was not yet put in place.
Aber diese zweite verfolgende Macht war noch nicht in seine Stelle.
Therefore, you had a little time of peace.
Deswegen
Okay.
gab es eine kleine Zeit des Friedens.
Because Satan had no persecuting power in this 30 years where he could persecute you with.
Denn Satan hat keine verfolgende Macht innerhalb dieser 30 Jahren, mit dem er dich verfolgen
You're
konnte.
missing the point and you're contradicting yourself and you're not getting what I'm saying, right? So, at the midnight cry, which is the cross, Christ
So,
takes away the first.
Mitternachtsruf,
Yes.
was das Kreuz ist, Christus nimmt das erste weg.
Okay, the counterfeit has to be in agreement with it, right?
Also der Fälschung muss in Übereinstimmung damit sein.
So at 508, which is not the midnight cry, he takes away the first.
So am 508, was nicht der Mitternachtsruf ist, er nimmt das erste weg.
But it can't contradict itself,
Aber
right?
es kann sich nicht widersprechen.
So this is the reason why Sister White says that midway between April 19th and October 22nd is midnight.
So deswegen sagt Ellen White, dass in der Mitte zwischen 19. April und 22. Oktober, dass das Mitternacht war, 21. July.
It's the midst of the week.
Es ist der Mitte der Woche.
Okay, so what I would understand is that this first waymark and the second waymark, it's the same point, right?
So diese erste,
Okay, no,
so wie ich das
that's what
verstehe,
it is.
diese erste
Yes.
Wegmarke und diese zweite Wegmarke sind ein und dasselbe Punkt.
And 508 is where Satan takes away his daily, so it's showing you 508 to 538, it's the same waymark. It's for him, it's his midnight.
So 508 bis 538 ist in der Mitte, also für ihn ist das seine Mitternacht.
Because Christ is going to come there at midnight and take away the daily, right? That's what he's going to do. He's going to wash your sins out of your heart,
Denn
right?
Christus kommt hier am Mitternacht an und wird das tägliche wegnehmen. Er wird die Sünden aus unserem Herzen entfernen sollen.
Right?
Yes.
They have to agree with each other.
Die müssen miteinander übereinstimmen.
No, I get the point.
Okay. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay. All right. So, but could everybody follow along so far?
Also konnte jeder soweit folgen?
Okay. All right. So now I want to bring in some other thoughts
So, jetzt möchte ich einige andere Gedanken da hinzufügen.
because the Old Testament and the New Testament, when you go to Revelation 11, how are they illustrated?
Das Alte und Neue Bund, gemäß Offenbarung 11, wie werden sie dargestellt?
Two witnesses.
Zwei
Right.
Zeugen.
Okay. So, and the two witnesses are also who?
Und die zwei Zeugen sind auch wem?
Moses and Elijah.
Yes.
Also
In
Mose,
type.
What does Sister White say? Where do they stand now?
Mose und Elia, also Gottes Volk. Also
Ja,
Ellen White sagt, wo
covering
stehen sie
Yes,
jetzt?
the covering cherubs.
Die sind
Okay.
diese deckende Cherubim.
On
So,
either side of the.
so you have a cherub here,
Also es gibt ein Cherubim hier
you have a cherub here.
und ein Cherubim hier.
Alright, so, and what is in the middle of the cherubs?
Und was ist in der Mitte von diesen Cherubim?
The most holy, the Ark of the Covenant.
The
The glory.
glory, the Shekinah of glory, right?
Also der Herrlichkeit des Herrn, der Shekinah.
So, yeah, in the middle of those two cherubims, here at the midnight cry, you have the Shekinah of glory. Okay.
So, in der Mitte von diesen beiden Cherubim, am Mitternachtsruf, hat man die Herrlichkeit des Herrn, der
And
Shekinah Glory.
whom do you see here?
Und wem sieht man hier?
Christ, high and lifted up
Christus, hoch und erhaben,
on his throne
auf seinem Thron,
in Isaiah chapter 6.
in Jesaja Kapitel 6.
Okay, and Brother Mark already mentioned it. So when you have a cherub here, a cherub there, and the Shekinah of glory here, what is it an illustration of?
Also wenn du den Cherubim hier und den Cherubim hier hast und diese Shekinah in der Mitte, wie Bruder Mark schon bereits erwähnt hast, was haben wir?
Yes, but the Ark of the Covenant. Yes.
Das Bundeslager.
Amen. So, and in the Ark of the Covenant, what was in the Ark of the Covenant?
Und was befand sich in der Bundeslade
The
hinein?
law of God,
Das
right?
Gesetz Gottes,
So, the two tables,
also die zwei Tafeln,
4 and 6, right?
4 und das 6.
And they were bound together like a book.
Und die waren zusammengebunden wie ein Buch.
So that's this transition period, alright, between these two testaments.
Und das ist diese Übergangsperiode zwischen diese zwei Bündnissen.
Okay, so therefore we see here that this is an illustration of the Ark of the Covenant.
Also
Okay.
wir können sehen, dass das hier eine Darstellung ist von der Bundeslade.
And I would suggest, and I'm pretty certain that you can prove it, I cannot prove it fully now, but that this angel of Revelation 18 here and this angel of Revelation 18 here, these are the two cherubims.
Und ich würde vorschlagen, also ich kann das noch nicht völlig beweisen, aber ich bin ziemlich sicher, dass das wahr ist dass diese Engel von Offenbarung 18 hier und diese Engel von Offenbarung 18 hier sind eben diese zwei Cherubim.
Okay, can everybody follow so far?
Kann jeder folgen?
Okay. Then let us go to the quote here from Patriarchs and Prophets in the notes.
Lasst uns zu diesem ersten Zitat von Patriarchen und Propheten in den Notizen gehen.
And it speaks now about the most holy place and Ark of the Covenant and so on and so forth.
Und es spricht über das Allerheiligste und der Bundeslade und so weiter.
And I will just quickly read it because I know the points I want to pick out.
Und ich werde schnell lesen, denn ich kenne die Punkte, die ich da herausholen möchte.
Okay, so let's read the boldface things.
Also wir fangen an und wir lesen die fettgedruckten.
So it says, in this apartment was the ark. Okay, speaking about the most holy place.
Spricht über das Allerheiligste.
Next boldface.
Nächste fettgedruckte.
It was made a depository for the tables of stone upon which God himself had inscribed the Ten Commandments. Next paragraph.
Nächster Absatz.
The cover of the sacred chest was called the mercy seat. This was wrought of one solid piece of gold and was surmounted by golden cherubim, one standing on each end. One wing of each angel was stretched forth on high, while the other was folded over the body. In token of reverence and humility, the position of the cherubim, with their faces turned toward each other and looking reverently downwards to the ark, represented the reverence with which the heavenly hosts regard the law of God and their interest in the plan of redemption. Okay, so when they now with their face downward to the law,
Also wenn Sie jetzt mit Ihrem Gesicht dem Gesetz zugewendet haben,
What does it represent?
was stellt das dar?
Reverence.
Reverence, yes.
That's of law
Ehre.
and the plan of salvation.
Yes, right. They have interest in the plan of salvation.
Also die haben ein Interesse in der Erlösungsplan.
And who are also the two witnesses in our time?
In unserer Zeit, wer sind diese zwei Zeugen noch?
God's people.
Gottes Volk.
So they represent those that have an interest in the plan of redemption.
Die stellen diejenigen dar, die ein Interesse in die
But is there also a
Erlösungsplan haben.
group that is careless and indifferent?
Aber gibt es auch eine Gruppe, die sind sorglos und uninteressiert?
Yes, they have no interest,
Ja,
right?
die haben keine
And
Interesse.
therefore they won't be these two cherubims.
Deswegen werden sie diese zwei Cherubim nicht werden.
The two cherubims get delivered up to death, so they're show that they're the scapegoat.
Yes.
They're the Lord's goat that the scapegoat delivers up.
Okay, so, and then it says, above the mercy seat was the Shekinah, the manifestation of the divine presence, and from between the cherubim, God made known His will. Okay, so what will the Lord make known here?
So, was wird der Herr hier bekannt geben?
Plan of salvation.
He will make known His will,
Er wird seine Wille bekannt geben.
which is the plan of salvation.
Das ist die Erlösungsplan.
Okay, because when this exceeding bright light comes, what is it?
Denn wenn dieser äußerst helles Licht hier ankommt, was ist es?
And they cry.
It's the midnight cry, but it's the plan of salvation.
Es ist der Mitternachtsruf, aber es ist der Erlösungsplan.
Okay, and it's the will of God that everybody should be saved.
Und es
Okay.
ist Gottes Wille, dass jedermann gerettet wird
And come to a knowledge of the truth.
und zu
Okay.
einer Erkenntnis der Wahrheit kommt.
Okay, so now I put some thoughts in place,
So, jetzt will ich einige Gedanken jetzt hier aufgestellt haben.
and what I want to do now is just to reconfirm our minds that there are also these cherubims in heaven, right?
So, was ich jetzt möchte, ist einfach mal unser Verständnis darauf bringen, dass es auch diese Cherubim im Himmel gibt.
So, I mean, these cherubims can be a symbol representing certain things. For instance, they can represent God's people.
Also diese Cherubim sind auch symbolisch gesehen in dem Sinne, die können auch Gottes Volk darstellen.
It says they represent the ones that bring the oil to God's people. Tells us that they're clear. Without them bringing that oil,
Yes, but we will come to this point. But so they can represent God's people. Okay.
Also die können Gottes Volk darstellen.
They can represent here this Old and New Testament in this illustration.
Die
Okay.
können diese Alt- und Neue Testament in diese Darstellung hier darstellen.
But there are also literal cherubims in heaven.
Aber
Okay.
die sind auch buchstäbliche Engel, die im Himmel stehen.
Okay, and I want to now look at this literal illustration of these cherubims.
Und ich möchte jetzt diese buchstäbliche Darstellung, diese Cherubim im Himmel
And
anschauen.
this is what Brother Mark just mentioned. They come down to bring us the oil from heaven.
Und das ist das, was Bruder Mark gerade erwähnt hatte. Die kommen herab, um uns den Öl vom Himmel zu bringen.
Okay, let's go now to Revelation chapter 4. That's also in your notes.
Lasst uns jetzt zu Offenbarung 4 gehen, das ist auch in die Notizen.
Okay. Let us read the first 8 verses.
Und wir lesen die erste 8 Verse.
And we can read 3 verses each. And David, you want to start?
After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will shew thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the Spirit. And behold, the throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an apple.
And round about the throne were 420 seats, and upon the seats I saw 420 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings, thunderings, and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne there was a sea of glass, like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne, and round about the throne, were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind.
The first beast was like a lion, the second beast like a calf, the third beast with a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle, and the fourth beast had each of them 6 wings, about him, and they were full of eyes within. They rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come.
Okay. So he sees the throne room, right?
So, sieht den Thronsaal.
And who's around the throne?
Und wer ist den Thron herum?
24 elders. Right?
24 Älteste.
This here, what I wrote up here.
Hier, was ich hier oben geschrieben habe.
And then what else does he see?
Was sieht noch?
4 beasts.
4 Tiere.
And where, so they are around, right, around the throne.
Die sind den Thron herum.
And what about the 4 beasts?
Und was ist mit diesen 4 Tieren?
Verse 6.
Vers 6.
From on the throne.
No.
What does it say? Yes. 2 things, right? In the midst of the throne and round about the throne.
In der Mitte des Thrones und den Thron.
So, midst plus round about. Okay. And then there are these 4 things, right? The lion, the calf, the man, and the eagle.
Es gibt diese 4 Sachen, also der Löwe, der Kalb, der Mann und der Adler.
And how many wings do they have?
Und wie viele Flügel haben sie?
6 wings.
So 6 jeweils.
Yeah, and they are full of eyes.
Und die sind voller Augen.
It's like the number 46 has been represented.
Yes.
Es ist
The
wie,
wings are full of eyes.
es ist wie der Nummer 46 ist da dargestellt.
And it says here that they were full of eyes, the wings. Yes. And the 4 beasts had, in verse 8, right? And 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within. And they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, holy, holy. So what do they say?
Was sagen sie?
Holy, holy, holy.
Heilig,
Right?
heilig, heilig.
Okay. But let's now.
I don't think it's the wings that
No,
are
it's
full
not.
of eyes.
It's semicolon.
It's talking about
Okay.
the beasts.
Yes. Okay. So let's go now and continue with the next chapter.
So, jetzt fahren wir fort mit der nächsten Kapitel in Offenbarung.
Let's go to Revelation 5.
Offenbarung 5
Let's read the verses 1 to 5.
und Verse 1 bis 5.
And who's going to read?
I saw the right hand of him that sat on the throne, a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong eagle proclaiming with a loud,
Angel.
proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor on earth, neither under the earth, is able to open the book, neither to look thereon.
And I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof.
Yes. Okay. So, what does John do?
Was tut Johannes?
He weeps, right?
Er weint.
And who comes then to him?
Und wer kommt zu ihm?
One of the elders, right?
Einer der Ältesten.
And the elder one of the elders says, "Weep not."
Und einer der Ältesten, der sagt zu ihm, heule nicht.
Okay, let's now read the next quote,
Der nächste Zitat,
just to understand who this elder is.
nur um zu verstehen, wer dieser Älteste ist.
Because one of the elders means one of these 24 elders,
Denn
right?
einer der Ältesten, das heißt einer von diesen 24 hier.
So, let's read the bold-faced.
Wir lesen jetzt das Fettgedruckte.
I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon.
Next one also.
His soul was wrought up to such a point of agony, suspense, that one of the strong eagles had come compassion and knees, and on surely said we not.
Okay. So, what does Sister White say? Who was this elder that came to John?
Was sagt
Das
Ellen
ist
White?
gut.
Wer war dieser Älteste, der Johannes gekommen ist?
Strong angel.
A strong angel.
Ein starker
Okay.
Engel.
So therefore you can see these 24 elders are angels, right?
Man kann sehen, dass diese 24 Ältesten sind Engel.
Okay. Write this down. Okay. Everybody sees this?
Kann jeder das sehen?
Okay. Let's continue now. Let's go to the next verses. Revelation 5, verses 6 to 10.
So, weiter in Offenbarung 5, die Verse 6 bis 10.
And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of the harps and golden vials full of gold dust, which are the prayers of saints.
Okay, stop here. So who falls down now
So, wer fällt nieder
before God?
vor Gott?
4 beasts and 20.
Yes. Right, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders.
Also die 4 Tiere und die 24 Ältesten.
Okay, now let's read verse 9 and 10, what they do.
Die Verse 9 und 10.
And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by the blood out of every kindred, and tongue, and people, and nation, and hast made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth.
Okay. So therefore, who are they?
So, dementsprechend, wer sind sie?
Because they sung a new song, and the angels, we even sing this song sometimes in the class, the angels can't sing that
Yes.
song.
So everybody sees who they are?
Kann jeder sehen, wer sie sind?
What do they say
Was sagen sie?
in verse 9?
Vers 9.
And that's redeemed us.
For thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God. So do the angels need to be redeemed?
So, mussten die Engel erlöst werden?
No, right?
Nein.
To God by thy blood. So did Christ die? Did he shed his blood for the angels?
So hat Christus sein Blut vergossen für die Engel?
No, it
Nein.
was shed for sinners, right?
Für Sünder hat er das getan.
To God by thy blood out of every kindred, tongue and people and nation, and hast made us unto our God kings and priests. So who is to become kings and priests?
Wer soll Könige und Priester werden?
Because they were redeemed.
Yes,
Die-
we are this
die
royal
erlöst werden.
priesthood, the Bible says.
Also wir sind diese königliche Priesterschaft.
And we shall reign on the earth.
Und wir werden auf Erden regieren.
So this is promised to us.
Das ist die Verheißung, die uns gegeben
So
ist.
therefore, these 24 elders and these 4 beasts, they are the redeemed ones that are already in heaven.
So, diese 24 Ältesten und diese 4 Tiere, die sind die Erlösten, die bereits im Himmel sind.
And who is already in heaven?
Und wer ist bereits im Himmel?
Moses, Elijah, Enoch,
Also
Mhm.
Mose, Elia, Henoch
and also those that after Christ's resurrection he took many with him.
und auch diese Erstlingsfrüchte, die nach Christi Auferstehung, die mit ihm in den Himmel führen.
Okay, so and right after there's a quote by the pioneers.
Und genau hiernach ist ein Zitat von den Pionieren.
They also understood it the same way.
Und die haben das auch auf den gleichen Weise verstanden.
Okay, let us just read the bold-faced again.
Nur das Fettgedruckte wollen wir lesen.
Because this now Uriah Smith, he asked the question, what happened to those that went with Christ to heaven after he resurrected?
Uriah Smith, der stellt die Frage, was ist mit denjenigen geschehen, die mit Christus nach seiner Auferstehung in den Himmel gefahren sind.
Okay, let's just read the bold-faced.
Lass uns das lesen, die fettgedruckte Runde.
We therefore, what became of those saints that came out of their graves after Christ's resurrection, as recorded in Matthew 27? Further?
The next bold-faced.
Okay. We therefore conclude that they are now with Christ in heaven, represented by the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders of the book of Revelation, for they declare that they have been redeemed from the earth.
Yes. Okay. So that's what Uriah Smith understood.
So,
Okay.
das ist das, was Uriah Smith verstand.
So he says those that resurrected with Christ are represented by the 4 beasts and the 24 elders.
Diejenigen, die mit Christus auferstanden sind, sind dargestellt durch die 24 Ältesten und diese 4 Tiere.
But he didn't understand really that it's Moses and Elijah, especially, is one of those, or are 2 of those beasts here.
Aber
Okay.
er verstand nicht der Tatsache, dass Mose und Elia 2 von diesen Tieren hier sind.
Because right, these 4 beasts, they were on the midst of the throne and round about the throne.
Denn diese 4 Tiere, die waren in der Mitte des Throns und aber um den Thron herum.
And they had 6 wings, and they cried, "Holy, holy, holy."
Und die hatten 6 Flügeln und die riefen heilig,
So
heilig, heilig.
let's go to Isaiah chapter 6 just to identify them.
Lasst uns in unseren Bibeln zu Jesaja Kapitel 6 gehen.
Let's read the verses 1 to 3.
Und wir lesen die Verse 1 bis 3.
In the year that King Josiah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims, each one had 6 wings, with 20 he covered his face, and with 20 he covered his feet, and with 20 he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory.
Yes. Okay, so what do we see here?
So was sehen wir hier?
The Lord is upon a throne, and the seraphims, which we studied that they can be also cherubims.
Yes, but we just see now we have the seraphims here, and how many wings do they have?
6
Das Seraphim sehen wir hier. Wie viele Flügel haben sie?
6 wings,
6.
and they also say holy, holy, holy 3 times, right?
Die sagen heilig, heilig, heilig 3-mal.
And they are right next to the throne.
Und die sind genau neben dem Thron.
Yeah. And these 4 beasts, they were in the midst of the throne and round about the throne.
Und diese 4 Tiere waren inmitten des Throns und um den Thron herum. Actually, it says they're above the throne. That's true.
Yes, but we understand, right, based upon the sanctuary,
Yes.
that they were standing on either side.
Amen. Also wir verstehen, es sagt hier, dass sie über den Thron stehen, aber wir verstehen, dass gemäß der, wie der Heiligtümer ausgelegt sind, dass sie auf beide Seiten standen.
Verse 3 there, Lorenz, it says, and one cried unto another. That's the same sort of illustration as you see in Daniel 8 and Daniel 12, these 2 angels either side of the river, and one cries, it says, and one said to the man clothed in linen which was upon the waters. So you've got these angels shouting to each other, right? It's doing the very
Hier
same.
in Vers 3, wo diese Engel einander zuriefen, das ist dasselbe Darstellung wie in Daniel 8 und Daniel 11, wo die jenseits des Flusses stehen.
It's just triggered a nice thought in my mind. I will share this. Okay, so I just posted here a quote just to confirm that these seraphims were cherubims.
Also ich habe gerade ein Zitat gepostet in den Livestream, nur um zu bestätigen, dass diese Cherubim, diese Seraphim auch Cherubim sind.
Okay, so because she comments on this situation here in Isaiah 6.
Weil sie erwähnt diese Darstellung hier in Jesaja 6.
And Scott, you want to read this?
Cherubim were on either side of the mercy seat as guards round the great king, and they glowed with the glory that enshrouded them from the presence of God. As their songs of praise resounded in deep, earnest notes of adoration, the pillars of the gate trembled as if shaken by an earthquake. These holy beings sang forth the praise and glory of God with lips unpolluted with sin. The contrast between the feeble praise which he had been accustomed to bestow upon the Creator and the fervent praises of the seraphim astonished and humiliated the prophet. He had for the time being the sublime privilege of appreciating the spotless purity of Jehovah's exalted character.
Yes. Okay, so here she compares the cherubims with the seraphims, right?
So hier vergleicht sie diese Cherubim mit diesen Seraphim.
So, and Satan himself, he was a cherub, but Sister White also says he was a seraphim.
Aber Satan selbst, der war ein Cherubim, aber Ellen White sagt, dass auch ein Seraphim war.
Okay, so the cherubim it's a title.
So dieser Cherubim ist ein Titel.
Yeah. It's office.
Es ist ein Amt.
I wonder why in Ezekiel 10 it says the cherubims, which Ezekiel 10 and Isaiah 6 is the same vision.
Also Ezekiel 10 und Jesaja 6 ist dasselbe Vision.
And in Ezekiel 10 the cherubims only have 4 wings.
In Ezekiel 10 die Cherubim haben nur 4 Flügel.
It's obviously something symbolic.
Also natürlich muss das was symbolisch bedeuten.
I also don't really understand why this is, but you can see it's the same creatures. Right?
Also ich verstehe auch nicht, warum das ist, aber wir können sehen, dass es dieselben Kreaturen sind.
Okay, so and why do we have 4 cherubims here?
Und warum haben
4
wir
and 6.
warum haben wir 4 Cherubim hier?
Where is it illustrated that we have 4 cherubims in the sanctuary?
Warum wird es dargestellt, dass wir 4 Cherubim in der Heiligtum dargestellt werden? Solomon's Temple.
Yes, in Solomon's temple, right?
Also der Tempel von Salomon.
Everybody is familiar with this?
Kennt das jeder?
You had the 2 on the ark and then you had the 2 big ones on either side.
Du hattest den 2 auf den Arche stehend und dann die 2 großen, die auf beiden Seiten stehen.
And that's why it says they were on the midst of the throne. That's the ones that were on the mercy seat.
Darum sagt es, die waren inmitten des Thrones. Das waren diejenigen, die auf den Gnadenthron standen.
And then roundabout, that's the big ones that are like the 24 elders, also not immediately on the throne, but right next to the throne.
Und dann um den Thron herum, das waren diese 2 große Cherubim, die neben den Thron gestanden hat, die wie die 24 Ältesten um den Thron herum waren.
Okay. And let us now go to Ezekiel chapter 1.
Lasst uns jetzt zu Hesekiel Kapitel 1 gehen in unserer Bibel.
Because here these cherubims also illustrated.
Denn hier werden diese Cherubim auch dargestellt.
It's mentioned as 4 living creatures.
Es wird als 4 lebendige Wesen erwähnt.
Let us read beginning from verse 1 down to verse where is it? Just keep reading, I will say stop.
Also wir fangen an im Vers 1 und dann einfach lesen weiter.
Okay, until verse 10 we can read. Mark, you want to
Vers 10.
read the first 3 verses?
Yes.
Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Sheba, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of the king Jehoiachin's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Sheba, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him.
Good. And let us also read verses 4 to 6 now, and then we make a point.
Und lass uns die Verse 4 bis 6 auch lesen und dann werden wir
And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, and a great cloud, and the fire folded itself, and the brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance, they had the likeness of man. And everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings.
Okay, so where is Ezekiel?
So, wo ist Hesekiel?
I mean, he's the 5th day of the 4th month.
Yes. Right here, right?
Er ist gerade hier am 5. Tag des 4.
And whom is he representing?
Und wem stellt er dar?
God's people
Yeah,
that,
it's
that,
us,
that
right?
have taken an interest in
Yes.
the plan of salvation.
Gottes Volk, diejenigen, die
Ja.
ein Interesse an der Erlösung
At least those that profess to follow this message.
Zumindest diejenigen, die behaupten, diese Botschaft zu folgen.
And are truly following it. Okay.
Und die es wahrlich folgen.
Okay, so what does the Lord already tell us? What will we see here when we come to the little town of peace?
So, was sagt der Herr bereits? Was werden wir hier sehen, wenn wir hier zum kleinen Zeit des Friedens ankommen?
Light, it says the heavens get open.
Yes, exactly.
Licht sagt hier, dass die Himmel geöffnet
And who
werden.
comes down?
Und wer kommt herab?
Well, it would be the cherubim, right?
Yes.
Also es wird der Cherubim, die herabkommen.
Okay.
This is what he's seeing here.
Yes,
Das ist das, was
exactly.
er hier sieht.
So, the heavens will be opened, and Moses and Elijah and Enoch and whoever is the fourth will come down to pour this light upon us.
Also die Himmel werden geöffnet und Mose und Elia und Henoch und wer auch immer der vierte sein mag, werden herabkommen, um diesen Licht auf uns zu gießen.
Well, the Mount of Transfiguration is that illustration because Peter, James, and John were being given an illustration of the plan of salvation. Christ was in the middle and the two cherubims were either side.
Der Berg der Verklärung, das ist eine Darstellung dessen, denn Petrus, Johannes und Jakobus, die haben diese Darstellung bekommen, Christus in der Mitte und diese zwei jeweils auf den Seiten.
This would be this light that they are seeing.
Das wäre dieser Licht, die sie sehen.
This might be, but couldn't it be also at the middle, right?
Well, Christ has given them it before it. He's preparing them for what's coming, right? And he was showing them this so that they could.
Christus hat diese Aufzeichnung Berg der Verklärung gegeben, um sie vorzubereiten auf das, was kommt.
We'll definitely look into this. This might be true. Okay, so let's read now this next quote, the bold-faced of it.
Also in den Livestream ist eine weitere Zitat zu uns gekommen und wir wollen das jetzt lesen, zumindest das Fettgedruckte davon wollen wir lesen.
Philip, you want to read this first?
The members of the church triumphant, the church in heaven, will be permitted to draw near to the members of the church militant to aid them in their necessity.
Okay, alright. So, who's the church in heaven?
Wer ist der Gemeinde im Himmel?
Those redeemed ones, right?
Die Erlösten hier.
So, and they will come down to help us in our weakness, okay?
Und die werden herabkommen, um uns in unserer Schwachheit zu unterstützen.
And this is what Ezekiel saw.
Das ist das, was Hesekiel gesehen hat.
Okay, so when the foot washing begins,
Wenn diese Fußwaschung anfängt,
this church triumphant in heaven will come down to help us.
die siegreiche Gemeinde im Himmel werden herabkommen, um uns zu helfen,
To get our hearts clean.
um unserem Herzen zu reinigen.
And when we then pass through the test,
Und wenn wir durch diesen Test hindurchgehen und bestehen,
what do we then become?
was werden wir denn werden? Church Triumph.
We will also become the church triumphant, right?
Wir werden denn auch diese siegreiche Gemeinde werden.
So, and then we will help those that still struggle with their sins.
Und wir werden dann weiterhin diejenigen helfen, die mit ihren Sünden straucheln.
So, it's very beautiful that there's always, God has always people that overcome and that can help them, those that still struggle.
Es ist wunderschön, dass Gott Menschen haben, die überwinden und diejenigen, die noch straucheln, helfen können.
Okay, so let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 1.
Zurück in unseren Bibeln zu Hesekiel Kapitel 1.
And let us read down to verse 10, 7 to 10.
Wir lesen jetzt die Verse 7 bis 10.
The feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like a soft glasswood. They sparkled like the color of burnished glass. And they had the hands of a man under the wings on their four sides. And they four had the faces and the wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went everyone straight.
Okay, so how many faces do these cherubims have?
So, wie viele Gesichter haben diese Cherubim?
4 faces, right?
4 Gesichter.
So there are 4 cherubims,
So, 4 Cherubim,
but they also have 4 faces each, right?
aber die haben jeweils 4 Gesichter.
And what are these faces?
Und was sind diese Gesichter?
What are they?
Verse 10.
Vers 10.
Listen.
Lion,
Man, a lion, an ox, and
Man, ox and eagle.
Ein Löwe, Mensch, eine Ochse und ein Adler.
Okay, so we can see it's the same as here, right?
Also wir können sehen, dass es hier dasselbe ist.
It's only that here it says that one beast was a lion, one beast was a calf, and so on and so forth. And here it says that one cherub had all those 4 in them.
So,
Okay.
hier hat es gesagt, dass eine von den Tieren hatte Gesichter eine Löwe, eine eines Kalbs, eine eines Menschen, eines Adlers. Und hier sagt es, dass jeder von den Cherubim hatten alle 4 Gesichter.
It's almost like a fractal.
Es
Okay.
ist wie ein Fraktal quasi.
So
Also what here happened,
when?
you know, like the last animal had all 4 characteristics.
No, enough.
Which last animal?
Yeah, it was like a head, it had like a lion and
This one. Yes, yes, yes.
leopard.
Also es ist genauso wie hier auf der Karte, dieser letzte Tier, der hatte alle 4 Eigenschaften von alle Tiere zuvor.
Paper beast, you mean?
the pig beast.
Der
Yeah.
Papst.
4 faces.
Yes, yes.
Der hat 4 Gesichter.
Okay, so
Okay, but it's interesting, not only because the lion, the man, the ox and eagle is the same as what you see in the book of Revelation, right?
yes.
But it's the same vision when you get to Ezekiel 10, but the faces change somewhat.
Yes, yes,
right?
Also es ist derselbe Vision, wie wenn man zu Hesekiel 10 kommt, aber die Gesichter verändern sich etwas.
There I think the
Cherub.
cherub was instead of the man, right?
Da ist ein Cherubim anstelle von einem Mann, glaube ich.
Cherub, man, no, cherub, man, lion and eagle.
Cherubim, Mann, Löwe und Adler.
So the ox was.
Ox is
Also
changed.
der Ochs würde verändert.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I will just put here cherub just to keep it in mind.
Also ich markiere das hier nur, dass wir daran, dass wir das nicht vergessen.
Okay, but the point I want to make now is in verse 8.
Aber der Punkt, den ich jetzt machen möchte, ist in Hesekiel 1, Vers 8.
So it says, and they had the hands of a man under their wings, and on their 4 sides, and they had 4 had their faces and their wings. So what was under their wings?
Was war unter ihre Flügel?
Man's hand.
Yeah,
Die
hands of a
Hände
man.
eines Menschen.
So they had 4 wings,
Die hatten 4 Flügel
and there was a man's hand under it.
und Menschenhänden darunter.
Okay, and then let's jump down to verse 16,
Und jetzt Vers 16,
just to see that they had these wheels.
nur um zu sehen, dass diese Räder hatten.
It says, and the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel within the middle of a wheel. Okay, so brethren, I'm really excited about this time,
So, liebe Geschwister, ich bin sehr aufgeregt über diese Zeit.
because here the Lord will reveal to us the wheels within the wheels.
Denn es ist hier, wo der Herr diese Rädern innerhalb von Rädern offenbaren wird.
And what did Sister White say when Ezekiel first saw the vision? What was it to him?
Was sagte Ellen White, als Hesekiel diese Vision zuerst sah? Was war das für ihn?
Verwirrung.
Confusion.
Es war
Okay.
Verwirrung.
So when this light comes, we'll think, what's going on?
Also wenn dieses Licht kommt, wir werden denken, was geht hier ab?
But then, yeah, as we study along, we will see its perfect beauty.
Aber dann, als wir es studieren, wir werden ihre perfekte Schönheit sehen.
And then Ezekiel was humbled in the dust,
Und
right?
dann war Hesekiel im Staub gedemütigt,
Because he now could see Christ in the Word.
weil er jetzt Christus in sein Wort sehen konnte.
So I'm really looking forward to this time.
So, ich erfreue mich, also ich habe Vorfreude darauf.
You can see that the midnight cry to the 9th hour it's this wheel that's within all these other big
Yes,
wheels, right?
yeah.
Also wir können sehen, dass diese Mitternachtsruf bis zur 9. Stunde ist dieses Rad, der innerhalb von all diese größeren Fraktalen sind.
It's not that we can't see those things, but I don't think we really comprehend what it means. This is the
Also
point.
es ist nicht, dass wir diese Dinge nicht sehen können. Also ich glaube, dass wir es nicht völlig verstehen.
He has to take it from our mind to our heart.
Es
And
muss,
that's what I think that's what I think he does there from midnight to midnight cry. He changes it from a mental knowledge to a spiritual experience.
also ich glaube, dass von Mitternacht bis zur Mitternachtsruf ist, dass er nimmt dieses Kopfwissen, die wir haben über diese Dinge, und verwandelt es in eine Erfahrung, also in eine Herzensverankerung.
So, in this little time of peace is a preparation for this event here, right? For the midnight cry.
Diese kleine Zeit des Friedens ist eine Vorbereitung für diese Ereignisse, die hier am Mitternachtsruf stattfinden.
And what will happen here at the midnight cry with us
Und was werde mit uns hier am Mitternachtsruf
if we stay
stattfinden,
faithful?
wenn wir treu bleiben?
Yes, new birth, but
Also Neugeburt,
in a sense, externally speaking.
so im Sinne aus extern, face to face with death.
They will deliver.
Yes, will be brought before kings and rulers.
Also
Okay.
wir werden vor Könige und Regierende geschleppt.
And we must now then explain them, right, the rise and the fall of nations.
Und dann müssen wir das Aufstehen und das Zerfall von Nationen erklären.
We must explain them why this coronavirus came upon them,
Wir müssen sie erklären, warum dieser Coronavirus auf sie gekommen ist.
and also what will happen in the future when they make the Sunday law and all these things.
Auch das, was in die Zukunft stattfinden werden, wenn sie dieses Sonntagsgesetz erlassen und all das, was dazugehört.
And we can read this next quote and then we can close.
Also dieses nächste Zitat werden wir lesen und dann werden wir abschließen.
It's from Education,
Das ist von Erziehung
178.
178.
Because she now comments on Ezekiel 1.
Denn Ellen White zitiert hier oder sie macht Bemerkungen basierend auf Hesekiel 1.
It says, as the wheel-like complications were under the guidance of the hand beneath the wings of the cherubim, so the complicated play of human events is under divine control. So these wheels, and then also this man's hand under the wings.
Also diese Räder und auch diese Menschenhand, die unter den Flügeln waren.
What does it represent?
Was stellt es dar?
Complicated.
The complicated play of human events. Okay.
Eine komplizierte Ausspielung von menschlichen Ereignissen.
Therefore, what will the Lord reveal to us here?
So, was werde der Herr uns hier offenbaren?
He's in control. He's going to show us the complicated play and that he's the one that's controlling all these things.
Yes, exactly.
Also der Herr wird uns offenbaren, dass er eben in Kontrolle ist über all die Dinge, die auf der Erde
You need to
stattfinden.
have that faith
Amen.
that he's in control.
Yes,
Wir
exactly.
müssen dieses Glauben haben, dass Gott eben in Kontrolle ist.
So God, He prepares us, He fits us up for this test here.
So,
Okay.
Gott bereitet uns vor, er macht uns fähig, in diesem Test zu
If you
bestehen,
receive the light.
If you receive the light.
wenn du das Licht erhältst.
And He will show you that His hands are under these wings.
Und
Okay.
er wird uns zeigen, dass seine Hände sind unter diesen Flügeln.
And it says here, next sentence.
Nächster Satz.
Amidst the strife and tumult of nations, he that sitteth above the cherubim still guides the affairs of the earth. And this is what you really need to believe when this test comes.
Das ist das, was wir wahrlich glauben müssen, wenn diesen Test auf uns kommt.
The history of nations that one after another have occupied their allotted time and place, unconscientiously witnessing to the truth of which they themselves knew not the meaning, speaks to us. Okay, so, and then also the next paragraph.
Nächster Absatz.
The history which the great I Am has marked out in his words, uniting link after link in the prophetic chain, from eternity in the past to eternity in the future, tells us where we are today in the procession of the ages, and what may be expected in the time to come. So, when we receive this light, what can we then do?
So, wenn wir dieses Licht erhalten, was können wir denn tun?
You understand the Alpha and Omega.
Yes.
It really is.
And you understand now what is to come.
Du verstehst das Alpha und Omega. Also du verstehst das, was kommen wird.
So what will we give to these kings?
Also was werden wir diese Könige geben?
What's coming?
Yes, we give them a prediction.
Wir geben sie eine Vorhersage.
And then the last paragraph.
Letzter Absatz.
The final overthrow of all earthly dominion is plainly foretold in the word of truth. Okay, so we will make them understand Daniel in Revelation, the rise and fall of the kingdoms, and we give this prediction, and that's the only means how the Lord can shake them up. Okay.
Also wir geben sie eine Aufklärung von Daniel und der Offenbarung, also diese Ausspielung der Nationen, und das ist der einzige Möglichkeit, wie der Herr sie aufwecken
And
kann.
if you remember back to, I think it was last Sabbath when I did the Sabbath school,
Wenn ihr zurückdenkt zum Sabbat, letzte Sabbat, als ich die Sabbatschule auslegte,
for what purpose are we in this classroom every day?
ich habe die Frage gestellt,
For 1 hour.
für welchen Zweck sind wir hier jeden Tag in diese Klassenzimmer?
For this hour, right?
Für diese eine Stunde
For
hier,
such a time as this.
für solch eine Zeit wie diese.
We are called to go to the cross. We are called to give the message. And we are called to become a savior to this world.
Wir sind berufen, zum Kreuz zu gehen. Wir sind berufen, dieses Botschaft zu geben. Wir sind berufen, eine Erlöser zu dieser Welt zu sein.
That's why we need to put away all our selfish desires and plans and all our little difficulties.
Deswegen müssen wir all unsere eigenen Pläne und Verlangen und Wünschen und all unsere kleinen Schwierigkeiten wegtun.
And to really submit ourselves to this great plan of redemption.
Und wirklich, dass wir uns diese große Plan der Erlösung hingeben.
That's the reason why you are here.
Darum sind wir hier.
Can I remind us of Esther 4, verse 14?
Also Esther 4 und Vers 14.
Okay, let's go in.
Lass uns dahin.
It says, For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall there enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? It's like telling you that it's not an option. You either do it or you lose your soul.
Also das sagt uns, das ist nicht unbedingt eine Wahl. Also entweder tust du es oder du verlierst deine Seele.
So that's why let's retain this thought, okay,
Also lasst uns diese Gedanke beibehalten,
why we are here,
warum wir hier sind.
and that soon the heavens will be opened.
Dass bald die Himmeln werden geöffnet sein.
Moses and Elijah will come down to us
Mose und Elia werden zu uns herabkommen,
to pour this heavenly oil into us to fit us up for this great test.
um diese himmlische Öl in uns hineinzugießen, um uns zu befähigen, diese großen Test hindurchzugehen.
But it's only if you are interested, like these two cherubims, you're looking down reverently to the law of God.
Aber es ist nur, wenn du Interesse zeigst, genauso wie diese 2 Cherubim, die ehrenwürdig den Gesetz Gottes anblicken.
Amen.
Amen.
Then let us close in prayer.
Lasst uns jetzt schließen.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much that you are increasing our faith.
Lieber himmlischer Vater, danke so sehr, dass du unseren Glauben vermehrst.
I thank you that you have written down all of these things for us in the end of the world.
Und ich danke dir, dass du all das hier am Ende der Welt für uns niedergeschrieben hast.
I thank you that you will help us for this day, that we can think about all this we have heard.
Ich bitte, dass du uns hilfst, diesen Tag darüber nachzusinnen, all das, was wir bereits gehört haben.
And help us to make the decisions in this day to your glory.
Und hilft uns, Entscheidungen zu treffen heute, die zu deiner Ehre sind.
In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesu Namen.